Okay, so the third practice or choice for lifestyle factors that I have that contribute to happiness in daily life is focusing on changing what you can. There are only two things in life that we have absolute control over, and that's our thinking and our behavior. And yet most of us, and I include myself in that too, because I spend a lot of time trying to change other things, like, oh, it would be so good if my kids would just pick up their toys. Yeah, it would, and you can work at training them to do that. But you can't control them. Anyone who's ever had a child realizes you can't even control this tiny infant. You cannot control other people. You cannot control other things. You can only control your thinking and your behavior. One of the reasons that we spend less time doing that is because it isn't all that easy most of the time. So when you focus on changing your thinking, the first step in that process is becoming aware of what you're thinking. Because a lot of our thinking is quite automatic. We aren't even really aware of what's going on in there. Just check in with your brain sometimes to see what it's doing. You'll be surprised. You'll be driving along on your way to work. Your goal today is to be happy. You're driving along on your way to work. Are you thinking happy thoughts? Or are you ruminating about what you'd like to say to that driver who just cut you off back there? And so now you're focusing all your attention on that. Is that likely to make you happier? Is it anything you can do about that today? Not too likely. Are you worrying or are you problem solving? Worrying has very little benefit. I won't say it doesn't have any, because it increases anxiety, and sometimes we just need that little extra push of anxiety to move us into doing some active problem solving or taking some action that will help us address the things in life that are a problem. But most of the time, worrying doesn't really serve a very useful function. If you're problem solving, great. If you're worrying and you'd like to do some problem solving, again, do some planning. Set some time aside to do some active problem solving, to sit down to work on this thing that is a problem for you. Or take some action, call your doctor, call your bank manager, whatever it is that you need to do to help you solve the problem at that time. Speak with a friend. There is a form of therapy. I don't know if any of you have seen a therapist called cognitive behavioral therapy, or even if you've looked up on the internet, because it's very commonly used because it's effective. It's called CBT, usually by people who use it and practice it. And the focus of this form of treatment is exactly that, is helping you manage your thinking so that you can feel more comfortable. You manage your thinking, then you can manage your emotions more effectively. And it's very helpful for treating issues related to anxiety and depression and the other things that develop and often in our busy lives. The other part of controlling what you can is controlling your behavior. This seems a little bit easier, and most of us are a little bit better at that. We might think we'd like to do things that we would never actually do because they aren't socially permissible. Most of us know the rules when we meet people. We greet one another in a socially acceptable manner for that situation. So we have a pretty good idea. But like thinking, much of our behavior is automatic too. We get into these routines. Okay, I pull into my garage, I turn my vehicle off, I get out, I gather my things into the house and hit by everything, and my keys go here and my stuff goes there, and then later it's like, well, where are my keys? I didn't really pay attention to that part. A lot of our behavior just goes like that, and we aren't really sure how we got in the situation that we're in right now. But if you think about your behavior as your behavior is the only thing that other people see. They can't read your mind. They don't know what's going on. The only way they can tell your intentions, make assumptions, is by what they see. And behavior is very small. Facial expressions, our behavior, it can be overt, like jumping for joy because you just won that lottery, but it's important to be aware of what's going on with your behavior. Because once you're aware, then you can change your behavior so that you can change the outcome of situations that aren't really working for you. As you're aware of your behavior, you can judge then whether your behavior is actually consistent with your values. Is your behavior consistent with the way that you would like people to see you? If you would like people to see you as a calm person and someone who can cope, and all they ever see is you running around screaming that you've got too much to do and angry, and probably not giving them that impression. And it's not helping you either. So think about that. Think about your values. Think about the image that you're trying to create, and try and mold your behavior to fit more closely with that. It usually does help contribute to happiness.